Section 3. You will hear a university tutor talking to two students about a presentation they have made in a recent botany seminar. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Pause the recording for 30 seconds.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Well, Anita and Lee, that was an interesting presentation you made about John Chapman.
Thanks.
There are a few points I'd like to run through before you write it up. One thing, which you didn't explain, was why you decided to do a presentation on this man who spread apple varieties across the US.
Well, ages ago, we were chatting about stuff we'd read as children, and I told Lee the Johnny Appleseed story. I had these American storybooks when I was small. Then, when we were looking into the area of domesticated species of plants for our presentation, we realised that the introduction of the apple with the settlers in the US would be a good case study.
And I remembered Chapman, so we looked up the real guy behind the legend.
Right. I think that would have made a good intro.
I thought it was too personal.
Just a couple of minutes would have drawn your listeners in. Anyway, now a more serious point. You didn't mention the sources of some of your information.
We used some books and journal articles and did an internet search and found some good sites.
We've put them on the back of the handout we gave everyone at the end.
Oh, let me see. Oh, here it is. Johnny Appleseed, Man and Myth, 1967. Well, the thing is, you really have to make this explicit when you talk. And anything you show, data you project from your laptop, etc., you must have the source on it.
Right, OK.
At least you have got it all documented. I was a bit concerned about that.
Sorry.
Anyway, now the content of your talk. What your listeners wanted to understand was whether there were apples in the US before the Europeans started to live there. Well, you told us the early settlers had brought young apple trees, but that few of them had thrived because the climate was harsh. But what about native species? I don't think you were very clear about species already there.
According to what I've read, there were some crab apples, but that was all. Everything that people now think of as traditional American apples was species that the Europeans either introduced or bred by chance.
Because they tended to sow seeds rather than use grafting.
Yes, quite. But what to me was fascinating, and I saw most members of your audience start to take notes, was when you discussed how the apple genes spread via the Silk Route into Europe from the wild apple woods of Kazakhstan.
Yes, well, I'd like to have said more about the development of grafting in ancient China as a way of producing predictable varieties. It was so early in history.
But it's the natural development of the original wild apple into new species that people wanted more about, which says a lot for your presentation. You enthused your audience. So now we need to discuss the form your follow-up work will take. Are you going to produce a paper? Or are you thinking of putting it all up on the department website?
I felt we could do both, and we could do a poster of some of the data. But Lee wasn't sure.
No, I think it would be enough to use the website. We can offer a link to our email for queries. That would save time and trees.
I think Lee's right. A poster would be nice, but it'd take too much time.
OK.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
Pause the recording for 30 seconds.
Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Now, I just want to give you a few pointers about the techniques of your presentation. Mostly, it was good. But there are a few things you need to bear in mind next time you do one. You both managed the hardware, I mean the projector and things, very well indeed, which is always a great help.
Good.
Oh, thanks.
You'd obviously checked it out carefully.
Yes. But unfortunately, we hadn't finished our maps when we did the practice on my computer at home. That's why there was some the wrong way up.
We didn't realise the software on the laptop was a bit different from the one I have.
But you sorted out the problem very quickly and didn't let it fluster you, so it wasn't a big problem. We could all read the map when we needed to.
So it was okay, but we could have done better, we realise.
There was a bit at the end where I felt something didn't go as you'd planned. Am I right?
We had a few maps which we ended up leaving out because we needed to get on to our conclusions.
Yes, it took longer to explain the technical aspects of grafting than we'd expected.
So, sticking to the time limit for each part of our presentation is something we didn't manage at all. Which means we've definitely got to improve before we do another one.
Yes.
Apart from that, well, the handout was perfectly adequate for a seminar like this. It gave all the key information, and, of course, now I realise the sources are listed at the back. But you need to do those references in the correct format, as footnotes, in future.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, we will.
And finally, other students will be presenting projects later in the course. I shall be reminding them how well you both spoke, and that no one had any problem hearing or understanding either of you. In that respect, your talk was a model that the others can follow.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thanks very much. This feedback has been very helpful.
Well done, both of you. See you in a fortnight.
Bye.
Yes, thanks.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Pause the recording for 30 seconds.
Now turn to section 4.
You will hear a talk from a member of the Conservation Society talking about green cleaning.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here as a representative of the Conservation Society to talk to you about green cleaning. In other words, about ways you can help to save the environment at the same time as saving money. I'll start with saving money, as we're all interested in that, especially students who are living on a tight budget. Probably none of you has sat down and calculated how much you spend on cleaning products each year. Everything from dishwashing detergent, window cleaners and so on, through to shampoos and conditioners for your hair, and then those disasters, products to get stains out of carpets or to rescue burnt saucepans. I can see some nods of agreement. Even if you don't spend a lot of time on housework, you'd end up spending quite a lot of money over a period of time, wouldn't you? We can save money on products and also use products which are cheap, biodegradable and harmless to the environment. These I will call green products. Unfortunately, most cleaning products on sale commercially are none of these, and many of our waterways and oceans are polluted with bleach, dioxins, phosphates, and artificial colourings and perfumes. Also, think how many plastic bottles each household throws away over a year. They'll still be around in landfill when you are grandparents. So we often feel there's nothing we can do to make a difference, but we can. The actual recipes are on handouts you can take at the end of the talk. The sorts of ingredients I'm referring to are things like bicarbonate of soda, eucalyptus oil, ammonia, vinegar, lemons, pure soap. Lastly, many people find they are allergic to modern products. So for all you asthma sufferers, keep listening. Nothing in these recipes should cause you any problems. An end to itching and wheezing. So let's start with spills and stains. Soda water is wonderful as an immediate stain remover. Mop up the excess spill. Don't rub, but apply soda water immediately. It's great for tea, coffee, wine, beer and milk. As is salt or bicarbonate of soda, which will absorb the stain. Then vacuum when dry and shampoo if necessary. While we're talking about disasters, let's quickly look at some others that can be avoided. Bicarbonate of soda is wonderful for removing smells, especially in the fridge. An open box in the fridge will eliminate smells for up to 3 months. And those terrible burnt saucepans, either sprinkle with our good friend bicarb again and leave it to stand, or cover with vinegar and a layer of cooking salt. Bring it to the boil and simmer for 10 minutes, then wash when cool. Much cheaper than a new saucepan. Then there are heat rings on wooden furniture. Simply rub with a mixture of salt and olive oil, or for scratched furniture, use olive oil and vinegar. Now, let's look at general cleaning. First, the floors. If your floor covering is made of slate, cork or ceramic tiles or lino, it probably only needs a mop or a scrub with vinegar in a bucket of water. Carpets can be shampooed using a combination of pure soap, washing soda, cloudy ammonia and some boiling water. You put a small amount of this mixture onto the mark on the carpet, rub with a cloth until it lathers, and then wipe off the excess. A smelly carpet can be deodorized by sprinkling bicarbonate of soda on the surface, leaving overnight, and vacuuming off the next day. Cleaning in the kitchen, bathroom and toilet is the next section.
Conversation between a man and a woman at an estate agency. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Hello, my name's Charlotte. I'm moving to this area in 2 months, and I was hoping that you would be able to help me with finding somewhere to live.
Good morning, Charlotte. I'm Matthew. Welcome to Anglian Estates. I'm sure we'll be able to help you. Were you looking to buy or rent a place to live?
Just somewhere to rent.
And in which postcode would you like to live?
My preferred one is AE5.
So AE5 is the correct answer. Now the full test will begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, as the recording is not played twice. Listen carefully to the conversation and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hello, my name's Charlotte. I'm moving to this area in 2 months, and I was hoping that you would be able to help me with finding somewhere to live.
Good morning, Charlotte. I'm Matthew. Welcome to Anglian Estates. I'm sure we'll be able to help you. Were you looking to buy or rent a place to live?
Just somewhere to rent.
And in which postcode would you like to live?
My preferred one is AE5.
What kind of place were you thinking of, Charlotte? A house, an apartment, a flat, a studio?
I'd eventually be looking for a house, but to start with, just a small apartment will be fine.
How large an apartment would you need?
It's for my daughter and I only, and we'll need a bedroom each. So we'll need 2 of them. I'd also want a separate bathroom and kitchen, and a living room, of course.
Okay, I'll just write that down.
Do you know of many apartments like I've described?
Yes, I think so. We have quite a number of apartments on our books right now. Most of them fit your description, as that's what people are looking for nowadays.
Oh, good.
Now, what's your rental budget?
$1,000 a week.
That's good. You should be able to find something nice for that. Is there anything else particular about the apartment you want?
First of all, I need the apartment near my daughter's school.
What's the name of the school?
It's called St. Mary's.
Oh yes, I know it. It's in Talbot Avenue.
That's right. I'd also like the apartment semi-furnished, please.
Including what exactly?
The bedrooms and living room can be empty, but I'd like all the basics in the kitchen, like a cooker, fridge freezer, and washing machine.
Yes, I know what you mean. Don't worry. In our apartments, we always have all those basic things you need included in the rental.
Good. It would be nice to have a garden as well, although I know that's not so common with apartments.
Well, we have some ground floor apartments that have gardens accompanying the rental. We can look at some of those. The only issue there is that those apartments specify that you'll need to be accountable for the garden's maintenance. Would that be okay?
That's fine. I have green fingers.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
I'll just tell you a little about our terms and conditions. Before we show you any details, we'll ask you to sign a contract. This does not commit you to only working with us or anything, but it does specify that any apartments that you are shown by us, you have to rent through us.
That seems fair enough.
The contract also lays out our commission structure. This basically means that you have to pay 2 months' rent to us if you decide to rent an apartment shown to you by us.
That all seems in order.
Good.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10.
Section 4. You will hear a lecturer describing some investigations into the sense of taste. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Pause the recording for 1 minute.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
This morning, I'm going to describe for you a few of the kinds of experiments that have been used to investigate the sense of taste, which is now recognised as being a far more complex and important area of neurological science than was previously believed by most people. The results of some of these experiments can be quite fun, and I shall suggest that you may want to choose 1 or 2 to try out in groups before having a go at designing a new experimental procedure of your own and trying to pinpoint the cause of your findings. The first one concerns a marketing exercise by a soft drinks company. The green colour of some cans was altered by the addition of yellow, so they were a brighter green. Then, test subjects were asked what they thought about the flavour of the drink in the new style cans, and they stated that there was more lime in the drink if it was in the ones with the new colour. Now, this was because the brain picks up cues from the way the product is presented, as well as the product itself, which trigger taste sensations. Before food was packaged, humans used colour to gauge the ripeness of fruit, for example. Next, there's the old problem with chewing gum. Everyone knows that after a few minutes chewing, it loses its minty flavour. However, if you ask people to chew up to the point where it becomes tasteless, and then ask them to eat a little sugar and continue chewing, to most people's surprise, what happens is that the original mintiness actually returns, because it is the sweetness which is needed to make the mintiness perceptible. So, combinations of flavours can be significant, as the brain needs one of them in order to recognise the other. Another experiment demonstrates something we've all done. Drink half a fizzy drink straight from the fridge and then leave it at room temperature for a while. Take a sip and you may well decide you don't like it. The warm drink is too sweet to be refreshing. So, put the rest back in the fridge until it's chilled again. Now try it. Much better. Of course, the sweetness doesn't change. It is our perception, because how sweet it tastes depends on the temperature. The extent to which the drink is sweetened is less evident if the drink has been cooled. Another interesting result has been derived from experiments with sound. One of these involved eating crisps. Subjects were put into soundproof rooms and given batches of crisps to eat. As they ate, the sound of crunching which they made as they ate the crisps was played back to them. This was adjusted so that they sometimes heard the crunching as louder, or at other times more high-frequency sounds were audible in the sound feedback that accompanied their eating. Fascinatingly, if the sound level was louder or higher frequency, they reported that the crisps were actually fresher. Of course, the crisps were in fact the same every time. So, it was clear that the level and quality of what they were hearing was influencing their taste perceptions. So, we've looked briefly at colour, at complementary flavours, at temperature and sound. It seems that all the senses are working together here. But what about the sense of touch? A number of experiments have been done in this area. If you take, for instance, cheese sauce and prepare different versions, some thicker and some thinner, but without any alteration in the strength of flavour, what do you think the subjects perceive? Yep, if the sauce is thicker, they'll say the cheesy flavour is less strong. It was clear that the thing that was influencing the subject's judgment about the flavour of the sauces was the texture of each one. Now, this result is important for dietitians as well as marketing executives. Lastly, another variation on the two flavours theme. This concerns the capacity of the brain for bridging a sensory gap. The subjects in this experiment stuck out their tongues so that the testers could drip two liquids onto them simultaneously, one strawberry flavoured and one sugar flavoured. The testers then took away each flavour in turn. When the sweetness was taken away, the subjects reported they could hardly taste anything. But they continued to think they could taste strawberry even after it was taken away. So that taste gap was filled. Well, that's just a quick look at some of the examples in the current literature. The references will be in the handouts you'll get at the end of the session. Now, let's see about trying a few of them for ourselves.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Pause the recording for 30 seconds.
That is the end of the listening test. In the IELTS test, you would now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the listening answer sheet.